one, a single character might mean a bunch of different things.
Oh gosh. It's like if you don't communicate in the way that the Japanese understands for you to communicate, then you are not speaking Japanese.
Tsu is easy, like it's like ZU, right? But how do you write the tsu with them then? Because like it's daddy do de do, right?
そうダディ
本当やねなんで図になるの
Yeah.
今日はなぜ日本語を書くことはそんなに難しいのか動画を見てみるよ Let's find out! こんにちは全人類と友達になる男の奥がミスターズそして
On this.
あのです。
これです
これ。
今日のテーマはこれ日本語を書くことが難しい理由について
Why are we clapping? Does anybody even write kanji anymore?
By hand?
Yeah.
No.
I do. Yeah. Oh, of course.
まあ中華系だからね
I have to.
YouTube を見てたら多分海外の方が日本語を勉強した時に日本語を書くことがすごく難しいとでその理由についてをちゃんと分析して話してくれてる動画があるよねで、まあ、日本人からしたらさあんまり分かんないじゃんなんで日本語を書くのそんな難しいんだろうって思っちゃう
そうですね
ひらがなとかカタカナだけでしょって思っちゃうんだけど実はもうちょっと奥が深くて結構難しい理由があるんだよっていう動画をね見つけたので今日はそれをみんなで一緒に見ながらあ、そうだよねここやっぱ難しいよねっていうところを話してもらったりとか実はこういうとこも難しいんだよみたいな意見をもらえたらもっとね僕らも日本人もこう自分たちの言語に詳しくなれるかなと思って話していきたいと思います。Cool! それでは行ってみましょう
Writing Japanese is hard. I know what you're thinking. Duh, Josh, it's Japan. When they go in, they go all in. But it's worse than you think. It's ridiculously hard.
Oh, okay.
Growing up, I was a language nut. Look at me making this video. Guess I still am. Through the years, I spent time learning this script and these scripts and these ones. Some time learning this and even more with... Alright, you get it. And then I went for Japanese. See, in the US, there's this flu that goes around. It's called Japanophilia. And you're off reading manga, watching anime, and eating the kind of sushi with the fish that's all on the top. Like,
That's just sushi, though.
I headed from the library and straight to the Japanese books. This was back when the new library was being built, so they were holding books hostage in this dingy place with no AC. The books are all shuffled around down on these low shelves. You know, the ones that are like below your knee level, all on the ground?
Okay.
So I do my ninja band and I scan the area for resources.
Wow.
Fluffy book about Japanese is for everybody? Pass. Easy Japanese in 5 seconds a day. Pass. Cartoon cat. Yay, by the way, you'll learn some Japanese, I promise. Double pass.
Okay.
But then there it was. The
What?
biggest, the heaviest, the densest textbook in the entire section.
Kanji
Modern
master.
Japanese book 1.
Oh.
Grammar lesson. Called my name. It said, Ikimashou. I
Books
bust
don't
open the book
talk.
and it hits me with syllables. My first thoughts are, well, the optimist in me comes out and says, oh, these look so fun and Japanesey. But guess what the pessimist in me said? That's like 76 more symbols than I would have memorized. The pessimist inside me is an Oni who's that fast counter. The optimist one, for good reason. It was actually less of a hassle than it looked like at first. Just 46 characters in total. On account of some of the syllables turned out to be duplicates with 2 little voicing slashes out of their heads. Even better, I was told this is technically all I needed to know to write every Japanese sound. That's all the syllables the language has, thanks to Japanese being all neat and orderly in the way it lays out syllables.
That's it.
And that's great, until I find out that the friendly syllables are lies. Like when the T plus E syllable is actually chi, and then the T plus U syllable is tsu.
Yeah. That's just
This
part.
actually sound like that, and that. The more
true.
Japanese was saying, but wait, there's more. More compound syllables, more double consonants, more historical syllables they were hiding from me and just forgot to mention. Asterisk mark all over the place. But hey, historical spelling and complicated workarounds. I come from English, baby, and that's how we write. Plus, I just did a whole rant on Tibetan, so I can handle some clunky syllables. Besides, compared to how Japanese syllables used to be written, it's all super regular, so that's a relief.
I mean, he's not wrong. We also ran into those things, you know, if you're a native English speaker, you expect everything to follow the same pattern. And then you hear chi and you're like, huh? Just say T.
ああ、でも、そうか。全然考えてなかった。あと、かきくけこが KA でかよね。で、きが KI よね。で、それでいくんだったら、タッチも TA タ。で、TI T。本当だね。
Yeah, tati tuteto. Yeah, it's supposed to be like that, right?
でも、タチツテト。
Right, exactly.
まあ、この質問ね、先生に聞いたことありますね。チになりました。
Also, hahihu heho. Why is it not hahihu heho? Why is it fu? Why did it become F all of a sudden when it was H the whole time?
ファフィフフェフォじゃないもんね。
そう。
だから H なんだよね。で、は、ひ、ふ、
Yeah, who done did it?
Well, that's like an in between those, like who.
Yeah.
Not a who, but a who, but a
who. It's a
who. Yeah.
特に英語ネイティブから見たら、こういうところがローマ字というか、アルファベットと合わなくて困ることがあるってことだよ。
そう、パートナーが外れる。
I realized that recently when I moved to Japan, I kept writing on my keyboard the full TSU to write the two,
Yeah.
but I realized you could just write TU.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was right! You could write it as two! I used to write the whole thing, two, and I wasted all my life writing that. Yes.
ちょっと一つ文句言ってもいい？これは僕タイピングするときにいつも困ってるところですよ。書きたいのは、例えばね、D なの D ね、書きたくて、どうやって入力すればいいなと思って、DE でもできないし、DI もできないし、どうしようと思っていつも調べるんですよ。でとちっちゃい E 入れるのかどうやって入れるのね。DEXI。
Yeah.
DEXI? I forgot about the X. You can use the X.
入れないとこうなれない。
Oh,
It acts like a modifier on the keyboard, the letter X. That's why.
I thought it was L. Like that's how I write. It's like I write de and then I press the L key and E, and it's like little I.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
ちょっとやってみて。
Look, like there, right? I pressed L.
待って、L? I?
Little I.
DI だと G になっちゃうよね。
そう。
いや、僕、ちょっと恥ずかしい話、ポールと一緒で DE、XI の D っていう。そうそう。
Hi, I do have a complaint because there's something that it took me so long to figure out how to write. So you know you have tsu, right? How is the tsu with ten? The sound tsu with ten. Yeah, zu, right? How about su with ten? It's literally the same sound, right? But certain words you can write them only with a certain sound. It's either tsu with ten or su with ten, right?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate those two on the keyboard, given that they sound the same? Zu is easy, like it's like ZU, right?
Yeah.
But how do you write the tsu with ten?
DU.
Yeah.
DU。
How do you figure that out? Because like it's daddy do de do, right?
Yeah.
そう
ダディ、ダディ。
DU。本当やね。なんで図になるの？
Yeah. It's like daddy
ほ
do
んまだ。
de do.
誰か教えてください。読み方変わるのも難しいよね。はとかがわになって、へがえになって。
Wa, it's actually O.
文章だけ見ると、はがあって、これはわがはが分からない場合があるんですよ。
あー、
だって、
確かに。
こんにちは難しくない？
そう。こんにちは。こんにちは。こんにちは。
I smell like that.
あれ、覚えるしかないの？
覚えるしかないです。
Yeah. Because it's like in the beginning of the Genki textbooks, it's just all aisatsu and it says konnichiwa in katakana. And then you learn ha first, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, why does it say konnichiwa? No, it's actually konnichiwa. Okay, why? And then it just is. It's a particle. Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason why knowing kanji is so useful, right? Because if everything was written in hiragana, it's hard to know whether it's a particle or not, right? But everything's in kanji, then you can tell better if this is the particle or just the regular.
Right, and you can kind of like now you can tell why they say konnichiwa because you just do the ima and then you do the nichi and then the how is the day right now. Konnichiwa.
Yeah.
After you find it out, konnichiwa does make sense though, because it's like konnichi, like today, like this day wa.
Yes, how is
Like
today?
today is.
Without giving me time to breathe, they tell me that for each one of these syllables, I'm actually going to have to learn 2 characters. Yes, Japanese has 2 syllabaries. The one I spent hours sweating over was hiragana. The same syllables written in katakana. So are hiragana and katakana for writing different sounds? Nope. The syllables don't do anything different. Then when do I use this one or that one? Oh, just keep in mind that they're used for different syllables in different contexts. Japanese is very context sensitive after all. Smile. But none of that is what makes Japanese tough. It's when they introduced yet another mixed in script that things start getting
Let's
serious.
guess what that is.
I mean, seriously serious. Roll the clocks back to the day Japan learned to write. They learned it from China. And learning to write from China meant memorizing thousands of characters. Yeah, well, unlike other places that learned their penmanship skills from that formidable cultural powerhouse that was the Middle Kingdom, Japan held on to its long master list of Chinese characters. Oh, they held on to it real tight. They're called kanji. Even those syllabaries I was learning came from simplified versions of some of these characters. At first, they passed this kanji stuff off as a third native system. You know, you got your hiragana, your katakana, your kanji. And instead of different characters for different syllables, these are just different characters for different words. You know, like how you learn to say new vocabulary when you're learning other languages. With kanji, you get to learn to draw your new vocabulary too.
Oh, yeah.
So exciting. That's when I learned about a dictionary with more than 50,000 characters to play with.
It feels super natsukashi, right?
Yeah,
because like when you're first introduced to this, you would always just like always question why is it like this? Why does it have to be like this? Like why do we have to change the rules all the time? And then the more you study it, the more you just like understand and say, okay, that's just how it is. I have to accept it and move on. Like right now, like all of us, like we've probably forgotten that we used to think about these things, right? That were just so like confusing for a speaker of English. But now it's like, well, no, that's obviously it's supposed to be chi, not t. And of course you have to learn kanji, like, and I feel like a lot of people neglect doing it. But now that we know so much, it's like we cannot survive with just hiragana and katakana. That is not enough to learn Japanese, right?
I feel like kanji it's one of the biggest hurdles because a lot of people who are trying to learn Japanese, I've seen in like the shokyu classes that I've taken before, it's like when kanji is introduced, some people would just give up on Japanese because of kanji.
It feels like you're running a marathon almost because you study so much and there's so many days where you get frustrated because you feel like you're not improving at all, right? Well, I mean, that still happens today. But then, you know, the more that you do it and the more that you like study and then all of a sudden like you get to a level where you're like, wait a minute, why was I struggling to begin with? But you don't realize it until way later, like years later, until you get really, really good at the language that you're able to express like your true feelings like in the way that you want to. But it's really hard. It's like Japanese is really hard at the beginning, right? It feels like steep. It feels like this. And then eventually it still like clicks, but it's still like a very, very steep level of like language that you have to learn for Japanese.
ひらがなとかカタカナはそのシラブです。それを見て読んだらちゃんと発音できるってことよね。で漢字はワードって書いてあるから、まあ単語のことよね。それって英語違うんだったっけ？
No, if I want to write dog, I write dog, not oki and a little.
犬の漢字のことね。で漢字がないから、もう全部アルファベットで聞こえるままに書くってことよね。だからまあ簡単に言ったらかなしかないってことよね。英語は。
Well, specifically for dog, I feel like the lettering kind of looks like a dog. I mean, you D, there's an ears, and the G, there's a tail. So you know that's kind of apparent sometimes.
多分嘘だと思う。ひらがなとかカタカナはあって見たらあって言ったらちゃんと発音できます。で漢字の方は単語だから
分からなければ分からないです。
中国語は
同じ。分からなければ分からないです。
だからその漢字だけバージョンってこと？
漢字だけバージョンです。
そうでひらがなとかカタカナみたいにこれ見てなんかこう文字の読み方が分かるとかじゃなくて、その漢字それぞれの読み方を覚えとくってことね。
そうです。
大変ね。
まあ。
That's when I learned about a dictionary with more than 50,000 characters to play with. That's a lot of characters. I think it was maybe more of a mind game to make me okay with what came next. Don't worry, I was told you could do alright reading basic Japanese if you just learned a couple thousand characters.
That's true.
Just a couple thousand. I guess I was supposed to say, 50,000's a lot. In that case, 2,000 should be a walk in the Zen garden. Are you not supposed to walk in those?
No, you're not.
Through the Zen garden?
You're not supposed to.
They even downgraded me again, telling me I could pat myself on the back for just mastering the basics if I made it through the first 1,006 characters.
教育漢字ね。
Yeah, this was slow. It was time consuming. They started me with these simple real world examples like trees, suns, and
Yeah. Like,
and they looked.
this one disappears in midway, right? Like you don't have any of this thing like, this country was created from the shape of the sun, this is why it looks like this. But like, where's the natural shape for kanji, for the more complicated kanji, like nichiyobi no yo? Like, where did that come from?
1文字だったらなんかまだわかるけど、複雑ななんかバラとかだったらもうどこがどうなん？
I feel like there's a lot of different arguments on how to study kanji the best, right? Because like there's a lot of kanji flashcard websites that are geared towards foreigners. Like for example, there's Wanikani, right? And there's like these monthly subscription programs. But I just feel like you just have to read actual Japanese in order to understand what they're talking about. And if you have to read it with tons of like romaji, then do that, right? Because you're not going to know what is used in regular conversation unless you have Japanese friends, or you're not going to know what's written in articles unless you read actual Japanese, right?
And also, like, it's like context dependent too, right? Because in English, if you like chokuyaku into Japanese, like sometimes you would use a particular English word in a situation, right? But like the direct translation for that word in Japanese is like inappropriate in that context kind of thing, right? So you have to know what word works in particular situations, and not just like translate what you want to say and directly into Japanese, right?
Yeah, it's like if you don't communicate in the way that the Japanese understands for you to communicate, then you are not speaking Japanese, which is a hurdle that you understand way later, way too late.
And it's also like weird like phrases and stuff like that. Like I remember this is like years ago. I was like, visiting Japan with my sister, and I tried to say like my battery died.
What did you say?
But I think I said something like battery shinda or something like that. But like that doesn't work.
Right.
I always say, パソコン死んだ.
Yeah. But I feel like if you say it kind of like a joking kind of like cute way, that's different, right? But I'll also try to talk to like a staff. Be like, my phone died or something, my battery died, I need to, charge it or something like that. Anyway, it's like there's like weird like, phrases like that you have to just know like it doesn't work that way. Right?
There's like a hurdle regardless of what language you learn, because that happens the opposite way as well, where Japanese will try to learn English and they sort of directly translate an expression from Japanese, thinking, okay, let me translate this. Whereas in English, you don't use that way of saying stuff.
Correct.
Right? Like Aaron just said with my battery died.
So a lot of my Japanese coworkers, they would always go up to me, and then if they had to go home, they're like, "Oh, sorry for leaving early." I'm like, what?
Just
go home. Dude. You don't have to tell me. I'm just your coworker, bro. Like, I don't care what you do with your time. Sorry, I'm leaving early. Okay, cool, man. I just met you today. Come on, to piggyback off of that point, it's just you have to observe as much as you can when you live in Japan, right? Because like you don't know if you're using correct Japanese if you're just studying from a textbook. But what I always like to do is watch how Fuji interacts with other Japanese people. I'm like, and I take little notes in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna try that next time, and it helps a lot.
Like for example, a thing that I picked up from other Japanese friends that I used, and when I use it, the Japanese friend I used it on. It's like めっちゃ日本人. It's stuff like putting at the beginning. It's like 夜分ですみません. Or after sending a long message, the Japanese, especially like groups, it's like 長文失礼いたしました. And like I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
And then I use it, and they're like, oh, this person actually knows Japanese.
まあでも結構ね大切かもしれない。
And for those of you out there who are trying to learn English, do that. Just copy your friend.
Copy us. That's why this channel exists. That's why we speak English and not Japanese. Except Anna sometimes. But then, yeah, that's why.
Copy by
大丈夫かな
They started me with these simple real-world examples like trees, suns, and moons. And they looked off, but if you squint your eyes, you could see it. But it was more trickery. After a couple hundred, it started to be really clear that most kanji aren't drawings of the words I was learning at all.
That's true.
No way. It took me a while, but I figured out what was going on. They're like playing charades with somebody who has a very specific word in mind, but refuses to give you any good hints. And the clues you do get are like way out of date. Like, one word, something to do with trees. Okay, sounds like or. Got it? Nobody? Oh, I'm sorry. The answer was table. See, the thing you missed was that or sounds like board, which is an old word for table, obviously. Yeah, most kanji are this kind of strange combination.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
Something to do with peace. Except that the sounds like might not sound like the thing it's supposed to sound like.
He's talking about
Something to do with
Shinyomi.
can have absolutely nothing logically to do with what the character means. It's no good waving these complexities aside by saying that, well, it's a lot to learn, but at least you're fundamentally just learning a character for each basic word. For one, a single character might mean a bunch of different things.
Oh, God.
It can even mean a bunch of different things on its own. Yeah. Even worse for beginners, though. There's more than one way to pronounce almost every single word. It's very context sensitive, after all. Wink, smile, and that is the problem with kanji.
Oh, man. Well, it's just like, how often does it come up on a test, or how often does it come up in like real life situations that you use this? Because I feel like, well, all the ones that are listed on the side, other than student, is all like kakikotoba anyway, right? So it's just a matter of just keep reading. You can take your time to memorize all like of the different yomikata for a single kanji, but you're just gonna end up wasting your time because more likely than not, that word is not gonna come up more than like at least like once or like twice, depending on like what kind of material that you're actually consuming. Like if you can read all of those, like no problem right at the bat, good for you. But is that going to help you in your Japanese in the long run? Probably not.
これ地獄やね。
For us 特に訓読みと音読みね。
そうね。
ルールは全然わからない。
確かに。
無限に読み方いっぱいあるよね、多分。
Oh yeah.
まあ、生とか生きるとか小とか、やばいね。
Especially that kanji.
あんまり知らない漢字の組み合わせ見たときに、頑張って今までの頭の中のディクショナリーから引っ張ってきて当てはめてみるかもしれない。
どっちがスムーズ聞こえたらそっちやね。
そんなフィーリング。
So I think that just language is like you use it or lose it, I guess. Like seriously, it's something that you have to keep training like a muscle. Over and over and over and over again.
But I guess like the easy thing with English though is that you at least you can physically read everything.
Yeah.
なんとかして。
Yeah, right. But like say like you kanji combination you've never seen before, or like seen a kanji you've never seen before. It's like I don't even know what this reads. I don't even know what it means. And so like if it's a really key word in the sentence, like the whole sentence is basically gone, right? Because like you don't know what the sentence is about anymore.
Look what I have on my phone. I got this, and then you can go like 1, 2, 3, 1. That's what bad yomikata. But then the kanji comes up, and then if it's a different kanji, then it also comes up with the other one. So every time I don't know a kanji, I have like this.
Yeah, just write
I can just write it, right?
So you can't.
Right. I have to guess, or like, you know what I have to do to look up words? I have to look up like jukugo that I understand, take that specific kanji, and then it's come from another jukugo that I understand, take that kanji.
Yeah, yeah.
Put it together, complete the puzzle, and I'm like, oh, it's a different yomikata.
で漢字1個でさ、いろんな意味があるのやばいよね、よく考えたら。
Yeah.
だってこれ生まれるってボーンがあって生ってローっていう意味もあって大変ですね。
Japanese is very context sensitive, after all. Wink, smile, and that is the problem with kanji. They aren't just kanji. They're a bunch of problems all mixed together. It's the most bizarrely complicated writing system within a system ever devised by humankind.
Yeah.
Next time, I'll show you exactly what it was about kanji that really pushed me over the edge. I like having you here, spending some time with me, thinking about the world's toughest writing system.
Fuji, how does it make you feel that your language is called the hardest writing system?
Yeah.
Does that give you a sense of like sick pride?
僕も日本語苦手な部類に入るからよくねコメント欄でこいつ日本語勉強してこいって怒られるんだけど
Say you're learning another language. You already can speak the hardest language there is. So any language on top of that's like going to be easy, right?
そんなことないかなはい、ということで今日は日本語を書くことはなぜそんなに難しいのか動画を見てみました。
どうだった？
難しいと思います？
いや、絶望を感じたもう日本人だからさ、まあなんか動画の途中でも言ったけど全く気にしてないのよ。
Yeah.
自然にやってるけどそれをゼロから学ぶ立場になったらこれやばいなって思ったよね。
How does English feel then?
いやなんか英語もちょっとムカつく点がいっぱいあるのよ。ひらがなとかカタカナって読んだら絶対にその音じゃんこんにちははまあこんにちはじゃん。英語はなんか僕の感覚 30% くらい文字と読み方がなんか違うよね。
Yeah.
そう例えば、文字で言ったら心臓ね H-E-A-R-T heart でその最後の T を D に変えたら here の過去形の H-E-A-R-D でだけど読み方が hard じゃなくて heard
Heard.
意味わからんなんでだって最後の1文字変わっただけよ。最初変わってない heart が heard になるんでしょ。
いや、あれ、それ超私も文句言いたいよ、英語には。
そう
ルーマニア語も日本語と一緒で、phonetically consistent language だからね。
英語がネイティブの人からしたら多分日本語ってまあ最も難しい言語の中の一つなんやろうね。でもなんかこれを知れたからその外国人の友達と喋る時とかにこれを難しいと思ってるんだろうなって言って教えてあげることがよりできるようになったと思うからそこはすごい良かったかなと思います。はい、他に僕らに話してほしいトピックがあればコメント欄までそちらもよろしくお願いします。それでは次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。バイバイ。じゃん。
寝る。
登録
On.
お願いします。